Hello and welcome to the Itchy Games channel. This is Josiah and I have opinions on gaming stuff. Now, I've been playing Skyward Sword. I've been playing Skyward Sword pretty often, just to try to come up with some sort of maybe symbols, something that leads to Breath of the Wild. And I think I've come across something, or a series of things rather, that may point out where the Sheikah came from, or or may begin to explain what's on the tapestry on the back of the map of the Master's Edition. I've mentioned in previous videos that this tapestry is on the back of this map of the Master Edition, and people have translated it from the ancient Hylian, actually to Japanese, to English. So this is that translation. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to try to connect some dots. Okay, so Hylians pass stories of a destined time long past, where multiple races lived and worked together in harmony. The Sheikah tribe's blue aura, I think that's important, breathed through the land, and this mutual prosperity continued until a cataclysmic disaster struck. The hero and the princess attempted in vain to seal the terror, which became known as the Calamity Ganon. Divine beasts awoke from 4 directions and deployed a mechanical army, which made the king and his people fearful. They fractured Ganon's power and sealed him, but the Sheikah were banished from the land ever since. Now, what does all of this mean? And what does it mean for the series as a whole? I have a theory that this is talking about a time long past. Let's go through each line and try to figure out when this time period is that it's speaking of, and what it's talking about. So, Hylians pass stories of a destined time long past where multiple races lived and worked together in harmony. So, when you look throughout Hyrule Historia, there are a couple areas where there are times of peace. The only 2 that are really relevant probably to this game, probably none of the adult timeline or the child timeline is relevant in this. It could be, but I doubt it. So the 2 key times of peace that I can think of is the time after Rauru sealed the Triforce in the Temple of Time and the establishment of the Hyrule Kingdom, which was, shortly ended by some people trying to start stuff, and a hero from with the Picori blade, which eventually becomes the Four Sword. He wins, right? So basically, there's that. Okay, there's that piece, or there's the one in the Downfall timeline, which is the golden age of Hyrule, which essentially they have towers and castles, and they're prosperous. Okay. Now, there are a couple times, right? There are a couple times where we can see where there's peace. But then, what happens? The Sheikah tribe's blue aura breathed through the land, and this mutual prosperity continued. That means that basically neither of these can really be the case. Why? In Minish Cap, you don't really see much of the Sheikah. The Sheikah aren't everywhere, right? What this speaks of, a blue aura goes throughout the land because of the Sheikah. A blue aura. Okay, I think that's incredibly important. The blue aura could not have been in the Downfall timeline. It couldn't have been in the Golden Age. And it couldn't have been in that time before. So we haven't really seen the Sheikah be like the Bill Gates of the world, right? Like basically benefit every tribe, every people, every tongue, okay? It doesn't make much sense unless the Sheikah, or the civilization of the Sheikah that we're talking about, is the same civilization in Skyward Sword in the desert, this ancient technological society, right? What are some of these connections? Well, number one, the time shift stone, the picture that I've shown several times. Basically, there's a symbol on the time shift stone that looks perhaps like an ancient Sheikah symbol, which, oh my goodness, that kind of connects the Sheikah to these people. Not only that, in Breath of the Wild, we see guardians, right? We see guardians, and these guardians are like... Many people noted that they looked like pottery. They looked like an ancient Japanese pottery turned upside down. When you look at the ancient robots in Skyward Sword, you have these robots, and in Hyrule Storia, basically the creator said, we wanted to make a robot, but we didn't want to make it look like it was a beep boop bop, like, you know, like soulless or whatever, so we made it look like a clay pot. These things look like clay pots, and they have a similar design on them that the Guardians have. Not only that, but in some of the description, it says there's a mysterious blue energy. A mysterious blue energy connecting their arms. Basically, everyone thought that was electricity, but what if it isn't? What if it's the Sheikah blue aura that goes throughout the world? Also, they make the point that the Ocarina of Time in Hyrule Story, they make the point that the Ocarina of Time is made out of the same stuff as the time shift stones. If those are made out of the same thing, that means the Sheikah made the Ocarina of Time. That's pretty crazy, and that's pretty awesome. Now, you have all of this blueness. Now, you might be saying to yourself, okay, well, this is a really long time ago. I don't think they would be talking about Tales a long time ago. And the next thing says, until a cataclysmic disaster struck. The hero and the princess attempted in vain to seal the terror, which became known as Calamity Ganon. Checkmate, right? Checkmate on that theory. Why? Because the hero and the princess wouldn't exist. We're talking about the spirit of the hero and Princess Zelda. And Ganon wouldn't even exist, because the first time we see Ganon is in Ocarina of Time, right? Or is it? Because the princess, and when we look at the tapestry, on the back of on the tapestry, it shows the Calamity Ganon, kind of a wispy Calamity Ganon, and two figures. One in the back, which is supposedly the princess, right? The princess has a white dress. She has darker skin though, and she has blonde hair. Doesn't quite look like Zelda. And then you have the other guy who has red hair, gray skin, and a red beard, which is like, that doesn't look like Link. Perhaps this is some other time. Perhaps this isn't the hero and the princess that they're talking about, isn't even that. And to the Ganon point, Demise is said to be able to change forms to whoever is looking at him. Technically, Ganon is Demise, just in another form. So, and it also says that became known as the Calamity Ganon. So perhaps at the time they didn't see it as the Calamity Ganon, but with time they began to call him the Calamity Ganon. So, divine beasts woke from four directions. Now, of course, these four beasts are shown on the tapestry, and these are going to be the dungeons, or the giant. It's going to be the elephant, the camel, the bird, and the lizard. Those are going to be the divine beasts that awoke from four directions, right? And developed a mechanical army which made the king and his people fearful. This is another kingdom. This is a strange kingdom that's not quite there. Developed a mechanical army which made... So the four divine beasts make these mechanical armies. Now, how could they make those mechanical armies? I'm thinking that the Guardians are repurposed ancient robots. Because they look like pottery, and you turn those ancient robots upside down, add a couple legs on the top, they look like ancient robots. Like, because they're both based off of pottery. And then they fractured Ganon's power and sealed him, but the Sheikah were banished from the land ever since. Finally, we have Sheikah stones in Skyward Sword. We already have the symbol of the Sheikah established in Skyward Sword. If the symbol on that timeshift stone is the ancient Sheikah symbol, now we have the normal Sheikah symbol. I believe that normal Sheikah symbol is a result of what happened to them. What happened at that time? They got banished by the king. And ever since, they've had that teardrop coming from their eyes because they were banished. And ever since, the Sheikah are not as prevalent as it appears in this. If you think this theory is hold by a bunch of strings, you might be right, and it's a lot of speculation. But tell me one time where the Sheikah were so prevalent in the world to the point where their technology and their blue aura went throughout the entire world and benefited everybody. Think of one time in the normal Zelda timeline that's not before Skyward Sword, and I'll agree with you. If you want to post that in the comments, go ahead, do that. I want to have a conversation about this because I think this is a really big point. I think this might actually be the truth. I'm going to place my bets on this, that what the tapestry is talking about is a past time before Skyward Sword, before any of this happened. And you have the Sheikah symbol, you have the tear. The teardrop is there because they were banished from the king, and ever since, they've been these shadowy, kind of ninja, sneaky people, almost hiding. And they've had dark magic, and some of them are evil. Some of them hate the royal family. Some of them don't like the royal family, and some of them do like the royal family. Perhaps that has something to do with their past experience and with their history. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Only March 3rd will tell. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys have any kind of thoughts on this theory, post in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys.